Good morning to each and every single one of you. This eye patch just sucks my toes. Hopefully I'll have it gone. I hope by the end of the week when my eye stops shaking and going in all different directions where I look like a knucklehead. I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to make this video for quite a while concerning triggers, because we all have our each individual triggers. A trigger being something that reminds us or shocks us into remembering what happened, a specific event. And that specific event that we remember leads us into thinking all different things that are attached to that very specific event. Not long ago, it was announced that they were bringing an old television series back, One Day at a Time. And One Day at a Time the premise was a single mother with two daughters. And they were both teenage daughters. I believe the younger daughter may have been around 10, 11, maybe 13. I can't really remember that. But it was a weekly television program that depicted this single mother with her struggles, a different struggle each week in raising her two daughters. And I remember this, that there was always a catastrophe, always a clear event, always an issue. And it was related to the actions of the two daughters and how the mother, her character name was Anne, would deal with this and the burden and the crisis and the shock and the dismay and the anger. This was when I was a child, maybe 12 or 13-year-old, and the golden child was only 2 or 3, and I was parenting him, as I've mentioned in my video, parentification. But something really eerie and something, the only way I could put it is really disturbing and sick happened during this period. The Narcissist loved this show, adored it. Shortly after this show began, my Narcissist cut her hair short, exactly in the same style as the character Anne, and dyed her hair red, exactly as the character Anne in this television show. And what was happening was, after an episode was broadcasted, whatever that event was, of what was going on with the two children, and how the character Anne, the mother, dealt with those two children, dealt with that problem, dealt with that crisis, and this is freaking strange, and this is where I kind of need your help to identify, or if you can identify. My Narcissist took on those problems. We, the children, became those two daughters. And I mean the exact problem created out of the clear blue sky that was projected onto us as the children. And I recognized it then because it was really, really strange. But what I didn't recognize is that it was her form of supply. It was her ability, or her permission, if you will, to gain sympathy to project to the outside world that she was having these problems, and she was able to articulate it by memory of the television show. You see, a lot of narcissists will project and lie onto their children or to their spouse and kind of get the details later on mixed up. But this was embedded in her because it was on a television show. It was easy to reference. But any one of those problems that those children had, we knew. Well, the golden child was too young, but I clearly knew that that is what I was in for. The reason why I bring this up, I can't remember if I just mentioned it before, is that they are reestablishing or recreating this show with different characters, of course, and making it time relevant to today's times. And that triggered me to no end. Now, it may not trigger you, it may not trigger most of the viewership that watches this new program, but I remember the narcissist taking on this fictional character's role and becoming it and projecting it for attention, for supply, for something she could attach to what would appear so-called reality, something she can reflect on, information that she could pull on. And it was really a very frightening time because that show had to be shown. We had to watch that show with the narcissist. And as we were watching that show, the narcissist would constantly comment as, see, that's what I go through. So you can imagine that this announcement of the recreation of One Day at a Time is incredibly triggering. And I'm wondering, do you identify with anything like this? Do you identify with the narcissist in your life taking over something else that happened externally and making it themselves? And if so, does that trigger you? Please share your thoughts. it'd be helping me. I'd be really curious to know if that's happened. On another note, hopefully not too far after my surgery in February, you're going to be in for a bit of I hope, a positive surprise, and the next evolution of how I communicate. So stand by. I think it'll be a very positive thing. Thank you, and I'm wishing you peace as always.